The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 90.
We open on this dusty road. We have this character named Zheng Zhang,
Right. His nickname is the Iron-Faced Heavenly King.
the Iron-Faced Heavenly King, which is a great name. So he's traveling, minding his own business, and he gets accosted by a tall bandit who demands his money.
Just a standard highway robbery setup.
Yeah, and if this were a standard action movie, this is the exact beat where the hero draws a sword and instantly lays waste to the bad guy.
But he doesn't.
He doesn't. Zheng Zhang does something that completely halted my reading. He looks at this bandit, sizes him up, and instead of fighting, he offers the guy 20 taels of silver.
Yeah, it's a fascinating pivot.
He actually says, hey, you look like a decent guy who's just down on his luck. Here's some cash to start a small business, and if you need more to travel and visit friends, just ask.
It sounds almost patronizing to modern ears.
It really does. So let's break down the economics and the psychology here. What is 20 taels of silver in this specific context, and why is he giving it to a man holding a weapon on him?
So the economic context is vital to understanding the psychological play here. A single tael of silver was roughly equivalent to 1,000 copper coins.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, give or take, depending on the dynasty's inflation rate at the time. So for a common laborer or a peasant farmer, 20 taels could represent a year's wages, sometimes even more.
A whole year's salary.
Exactly.
Yep.
It is not pocket change. It is genuine startup capital. So when Zheng Zhang offers this, he isn't tossing a bigger coin to go away.
Right, he's basically offering an angel investment.
Yeah, he is operating under a very specific wuxia social contract. He looks at this bandit and sees what the text refers to as a heroic figure.
Because in the Jianghu, the line between a noble wandering hero and a desperate cutthroat bandit is often razor thin, right?
Absolutely razor thin. It's dictated entirely by circumstance or maybe corrupt local officials or just a string of really bad luck.
So Zheng Zhang sees potential.
He does. His internal monologue reveals he wants to rectify his path. He is attempting to use his own wealth to pull a fallen peer back into the light of honor.
I hear you on the virtue aspect, but reading the text, I couldn't help but feel there's a massive streak of arrogance in offering a year's salary to a guy who is actively threatening you.
How do you mean?
Well, it feels like a massive flex. Like, I am so completely unbothered by your weapon that I am going to offer you career advice and a small business loan while you point it at me.
That's a really fair assessment, but the arrogance is a byproduct of absolute capability.
Because he knows he can win.
Exactly. Zheng Zhang can afford to be generous because he possesses supreme confidence in his own martial abilities. His mercy is a luxury afforded entirely by his power.
Okay, that makes sense.
He knows, unequivocally, that if this negotiation fails, he can dismantle the threat in seconds. He views this common road robbery not as a mortal danger, but as a philosophical test of his own magnanimity.
So he's asserting his dominance in the hierarchy of the Jianghu not through violence, but through aggressive charity.
Aggressive charity is a great way to put it.
But that charity completely fails. The bandit acts like a video game NPC who is hard-coded for violence.
Right, there is no reasoning with him.
No, he literally laughs in Zheng Zhang's face, tells him to stop wasting breath with, I love this translation, tongue arrows and lip spears.
It's very poetic.
Yeah, and then he demands all of the donkey's cargo. So the bandit rejects the money, but more importantly, he rejects the entire social hierarchy Zhang is trying to establish.
Precisely. By refusing the silver and demanding everything, the bandit is explicitly rejecting the social contract of the Jianghu.
He's basically saying, I don't want your help.
She is saying, I am not a fallen hero looking for redemption. I am a predator, and you are prey. And this completely shifts Zheng Zhang's psychological stance.
Because now he's insulted.
Very insulted. The text notes that Zheng's anger rushes upwards. The offer of charity was genuine, but the moment it is spat upon, the virtue of magnanimity is instantly replaced by the absolute necessity of discipline.
He has to put him in his place.
Right. Zheng is insulted personally, but more importantly, he is insulted philosophically. The bandit has broken the rules of engagement.
And when those rules are broken, the violence happens instantly. So let's look at the mechanics of this duel, because it is hyper-specific. Zheng pulls out a bamboo joint whip.
A very unique weapon.
Yeah. The bandit hacks at him with a knife. Zheng dodges and then uses a specific move called the 100 Herbs, seeking Snake to disarm him.
It knocks the knife right away.
Yeah, drops him to the ground. Then he just casually orders his servants to tie the guy up. It is over in a blink.
So how does a bamboo joint whip actually function in combat compared to, like, a standard sword?
Well, a bamboo joint whip, which is often made of heavy metal segments linked together, kind of resembling the nodes of a bamboo stalk, is a completely different beast than a sword.
Because it's not sharp.
Exactly. A sword is designed for lethal slashing and piercing. A segmented metal whip is designed for kinetic energy transfer, entanglement, and blunt force trauma.
So you're aiming for bones and joints.
Yes, specifically targeting joints, weapons, and pressure points. It requires immense centrifugal force and really precise wrist control to wield without hitting yourself, honestly. Right, you could take your own eye out.
Easily. So when Zeng uses the technique 100 herbs seeking snake, the phrasing implies a highly complex, fluid movement. Think of a snake darting through dense underbrush.
Oh, I see.
The whip bypasses the bandit's rigid defense, wraps or strikes the hand holding a knife, and neutralizes the threat through agonizing pain to the nerves rather than lethal blood loss.
So it's a weapon of control, not murder.
Exactly. Zhang's intention is to subdue, deliver a beating, and handle this entirely through street justice. He wants to keep the state authorities completely out of it.
But keeping the state out of it proves totally impossible because of what happens next. Zhang is fully prepared to just let the guy go with some bruises.
A very Jianghu way to resolve it.
Right, but the bandit, who is tied up on the ground, starts cursing them out and demands to know who they are. Now, Zhang ignores him.
Because he's above it.
Because he's above it, yeah. But Zhang's traveling companion, Ma Jun, whose nickname is the white-faced Zuan Zhu, takes the bait entirely.
It's a fatal flaw.
It really is. He proudly puffs up his chest, announces his full name, his nickname, and gives his exact home address, Majiahu.
He just hands over his literal address.
He actually says, if you're not convinced, have people come find me. I mean, why on earth would someone involved in an illegal street fight give a criminal their exact home address?
I know, to our modern sensibilities, it seems like phenomenally bad operational security.
It's insane.
It is. But in the ecosystem of the Jianghu, anonymity is essentially social death. Your name is your brand, your honor, and your entire standing in the martial world.
So hiding is seen as weak?
Precisely. If you defeat an enemy and refuse to give your name, you are viewed as a coward who fears retribution. Ma Jun's ego simply cannot allow an insult from a defeated bandit to go unanswered.
So he has to win the verbal fight, too.
He has to assert his dominance socially, not just physically. By giving his exact location, he's participating in a centuries-old tradition of martial boasting. He is saying, I do not fear your network, your brothers, or your vengeance.
It's like leaving a highly detailed business card at the scene of a fight with a mafia associate.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
And the source text actually steps in here. The narrator breaks the fourth wall for the reader to explicitly foreshadow that this single moment of hubris, this boast by Ma Jun, is going to lead to a disastrous, near-fatal revenge attack on his family later in the overarching story.
It's a massive, critical error that haunts the narrative.
But before they can even process that mistake, the actual authorities show up on the road. Enter two constables, Zurui, known as Little Swantan, and Luo Biao, the red-faced tiger.
The agents of the state.
Yeah, and they are currently hunting suspects for an armed pawnshop robbery and a brutal road murder. And Ma Jun, fresh off his boast, just hands the tied-up bandit over to them.
This moment right here is the hinge of the entire chapter. We are witnessing the immediate collision of two completely distinct justice systems.
Right, the street versus the state.
Exactly. You have Zhang Xiang and Ma Jun, who operate on the Jianghu's code of personal honor, face, and private vengeance. And then you have the constables, who represent the state's code.
Which is bureaucratic capture, official warrants, that sort of thing.
Yeah, government mandates. By handing the bandit over to Zurui and Luo Biao, Ma Jun abruptly shifts the narrative out of the martial underworld and directly into the machinery of the state.
He basically makes it a police matter.
He does. He solves an immediate problem for the constables, who are desperate to bring in a suspect. But he inadvertently guarantees that his own personal ego is now violently intertwined with a high-stakes state arrest.
And that shift from the open road to the machinery of the state takes us directly into the dark, unforgiving halls of the local magistrate's court.
It gets very grim very quickly.
It does. We enter the interrogation phase, and reading through your sources, this process is an absolute bureaucracy of pain. Let's dig into how this legal system actually functions, because it is terrifyingly methodical.
It really is. The magistrate system during the Ming and Qing dynasties, which heavily influences the setting of these wuxia novels, was profoundly reliant on confession.
Confession over everything else.
Yeah, in many ways, physical evidence or even eyewitness testimony mattered less than the formal, verbal admission of guilt from the accused.
But why is that? I mean, if you have the guy tied up, and you found him robbing people, why do you need him to say he did it?
It was a structural flaw in the legal bureaucracy. To officially close a capital case, a case involving murder or major robbery that could result in execution, the local magistrate had to send a highly formalized packet of documents up the chain of command.
Like paperwork to the governor.
Exactly, up to the provincial governor, and sometimes all the way to the Board of Punishments in the capital. That packet legally required the signed or thumb-printed confession of the criminal.
Oh, so without the signature, it's just stalled.
Completely stalled. Without that confession, the bureaucratic loop remained open. The magistrate could not legally execute the prisoner.
Which creates a terrible incentive.
A perverse incentive, yes. The objective truth of the crime mattered far less than the administrative production of the confession. And the legally sanctioned method for producing that confession was a structured, escalating application of physical torment.
And we see that structured torment applied immediately. The bandit is brought before the magistrate. He finally reveals his identity, right? His name is Yunfang, and his nickname is the Disheveled Ghost.
A very ominous nickname.
Yeah, and the magistrate questions him about the pawn shop robbery and the murder. Yunfang flat out denies everything. He claims he's innocent, says he knows nothing at a pawn shop.
He's stonewalling them.
Entirely. So the magistrate, entirely unconvinced, orders 80 heavy blows with a wooden board. 80.
Which would shatter a normal person.
And the text specifically notes that Yunfang doesn't make a single sound. He doesn't even grunt.
And that silence, Yunfang's silence, is not just a display of toughness. It is a profound, direct challenge to the magistrate's authority and the fundamental logic of the state's judicial system.
Because the state assumes pain equals compliance.
Precisely. The state operates on the assumption that pain inevitably leads to submission. When a suspect withstands 80 heavy blows with a wooden board without uttering a sound, they are rejecting the state's power to break them.
They're saying the system doesn't work on me.
They are asserting that the rules of the Jianghu, absolute endurance, defiance, and unyielding loyalty to one's criminal brothers, completely supersede the laws of the magistrate.
So the magistrate is understandably frustrated that his standard protocol is failing, and he threatens Yunfang with a process called 3 pushes and 6 questions.
Which sounds very administrative.
It honestly sounds like a very aggressive corporate HR survey. But then he brings out the tools. He orders the use of the 3 sticks, which is also known as the Jigun.
A horrific device.
Can you explain the mechanics of this device? Because the text describes it being used to crush joints. How does this thing actually work without just, bleeding the prisoner to death?
So the jigun is a deeply insidious piece of historical interrogation equipment. It wasn't designed to cut or draw blood because, well, that could kill the prisoner before a confession was extracted.
Right, which defeats the whole bureaucratic purpose.
Exactly. It was designed to maximize agonizing pressure. It typically consisted of 3 sturdy wooden beams connected by heavy ropes.
Okay, so like a vice.
Kind of. The prisoner's lower legs, specifically the ankles, were placed between the beams. Then the interrogators would pull the ropes tightly, acting as a lever system that squeezed the beams together.
Oh, that sounds awful.
As the ropes were tightened, the wood would slowly and systematically crush the bones and ligaments of the ankles. It was a calibrated instrument of agony.
Calibrated is exactly the word. Because the text describes the magistrate ordering the executioners to apply 50% force with the jigun.
A specific metric of pain.
Right. And 50% force on an instrument designed to crush ankle bones should elicit a scream from absolutely anyone. But Yunfang remains completely silent.
He completely ignores it.
So the magistrate signals for 80% force. And here's where the text gets almost surreal. At 80% force, it says Yunfang seemingly falls asleep or perhaps passes out, but the phrasing implies a kind of calm, restful slumber.
It's deeply unsettling for the magistrate.
I can imagine. And then the magistrate orders 100% force maximum pressure meant to completely shatter the bone, and the text says the tool slipped or the lever slipped.
The machine breaks.
Yes. The mechanism of torture literally fails before Yunfang's body does. He is eventually unchained and thrown into a jail cell, having never said a single word. How does the narrative justify a human body breaking an iron and wood torture device?
This is where we fully cross over from historical procedural into Wuxia mythology. Yunfang's ability to sleep at 80% force and physically break the jigun at 100% force is not meant to be medically accurate to a normal human.
Okay, so it's a superpower.
Basically, it is a literary device to demonstrate his mastery of internal martial arts. In Wuxia lore, characters cultivate qi, or internal energy.
Right, chi, the life force.
Yeah. Advanced practitioners can use breathing techniques and qi circulation to achieve what is often called iron shirt or golden bell techniques.
Which hardens the body.
Yes. They can essentially harden their muscles, bones, and skin to the density of metal, rendering them completely impervious to blunt force trauma.
So the wood just snaps against him.
Exactly. They can also use internal alchemy to block pain receptors or enter a meditative trance, hence Yunfang falling asleep. The magistrate is attempting to apply a standard human metric of pain to a creature of the Jianghu who has transcended standard human limitations.
So the tool fails because it is being used against an impossible material.
That's exactly right.
And that failure, the state's total inability to break Yunfang physically or psychologically, leads directly to a catastrophic security breach for the entire county.
A massive one.
Because Yunfang didn't confess. He don't give up any names. His criminal network outside the prison is entirely intact, well-funded, and they know exactly where he is.
They're just waiting for the right moment.
Which brings us to the jailbreak. It happens on the third night, at the third watch. We are talking deep midnight. And the text says, 100 to 200 flying eaves and wall-walking bandits descend on the Changshan County Jail.
The scale and speed of this attack are meant to contrast violently with the previous scene.
Because the interrogation was so slow.
Right. We just spent all this time in the claustrophobic, highly structured, painfully slow, bureaucratic torture chamber. Now the narrative explodes into open, chaotic, overwhelming force.
It's an invasion.
The Jianghu isn't just resisting the state, they are breaking into the state's house and completely tearing it apart.
Let's talk about the wall-walking aspect. Are we talking literal magic here? Or is there a physical mechanic the Wuxia lore relies on for this kind of siege?
It relies on a foundational Wuxia concept called Qinggong, which roughly translates to lightness skill.
Lightness skill, okay.
Yeah, it's not flying, and it's not magic in the sense of casting a spell. It is portrayed as an extreme, hyper-exaggerated form of parkour and physics manipulation.
So it's based on physical training.
Decades of specialized training. Practitioners learn to manipulate their qi to briefly reduce their effective body weight while simultaneously developing incredible leg strength and balance.
Oh, so they can basically launch themselves.
Exactly. They can run up vertical walls by finding micro footholds, a protruding brick, a crack in the mortar, and propelling themselves upward with rapid explosive steps before gravity can pull them down.
So normal walls are just completely useless against them.
Utterly useless. When a text says 100 wall-walking bandits attack a prison, it means the physical walls of the state are completely irrelevant. The bandits bypass the defenses entirely, just raining down from the rooftops.
And it is total chaos. They don't just rescue Yunfang. They intentionally steal official government documents, which is a massive blow to the magistrate's administrative power. They slaughter the guard at the east gate, force the heavy gates open at knife point, and just vanish into the night.
It's a complete rout.
It is a total humiliating defeat for the local government. The state couldn't hold one man, and they got an army dropped on their heads.
It is a systemic collapse of authority. The magistrate's power has been entirely undermined in front of the entire county.
And he's terrified now, right?
Absolutely. In the Ming or Qing bureaucratic system, this kind of failure could mean the magistrate would face severe punishment, demotion, or even execution from his own superiors, the imperial censors.
So his job and his life are on the line.
The panic that sets in at the magistrate's office the next morning is palpable because, his own life is now on the line.
And the magistrate's panic translates into an immediate, toxic offloading of responsibility. He calls in our two constables, Zhu Rui and Luo Biao, and gives them an incredibly strict 3-day deadline to recapture the bandits.
3 days to find an army.
Right. If they catch them, they get a massive reward of 200 taels of silver. But if they fail, they face severe punishment. It reminds me of a modern corporate crisis where a CEO ignores all security protocols, causes a massive company-wide data breach, and then storms into the IT department and says, you have 72 hours to retrieve all the stolen data and fix the network, or you're fired.
It's a really strong comparison, but the key distinction here is the consequence.
Because it's not just getting fired.
No, the penalty for failure isn't losing a pension or getting fired. It is physical torture, exile, or death.
Right. So much worse.
The magistrate is desperately trying to protect his own neck from the imperial censors by offloading the impossible task onto the lowest-ranking field agents. He is demanding a miracle through the threat of bureaucratic violence.
And Zhu Rui and Luo Biao are utterly trapped.
Completely. They know they cannot use standard police work. You don't fight 200 wall-walking martial artists with two guys and a paper warrant.
No, they realize immediately that brute force is useless here.
Right, they need intelligence.
They need an encyclopedia of the underworld to even begin to understand the syndicate they are up against. And this leads them to seek out Zhu Rui's father, an old man named Zhu Xiang, whose nickname is Swallow Flying South.
A fantastic name and a crucial character.
Let's dive into his backstory, because the source gives us a very specific picture of who this man is, and it plays perfectly into a classic storytelling trope.
Zhu Xiang represents one of the most vital archetypes in Wuxia literature, the retired master. He is a living archive of the Jianghu.
He's not out there fighting anymore.
No, he isn't an active combatant anymore, but his mind holds decades of operational intelligence regarding the martial underworld.
The text notes that Zhu Xiang used to be a professional armed bodyguard in Zhenjiang. He worked alongside legendary figures with names like A Single Round of Bright Moon and Iron Stick Invincible.
The naming conventions are just incredible.
They really are. But he got entangled in a messy lawsuit over some idle matter, ended up losing the lawsuit, became incredibly disillusioned with the entire legal system, left Zhenjiang, and moved to Xinglong town.
He walked away from it all.
Yeah. There, he opened the Wuyazai iron shop. He basically traded in his weapons for a blacksmith's hammer because he was tired of the relentless drama of the martial world.
But as the trope goes, you never truly leave the Jianghu, you just change your address.
Exactly.
And a retired master operating an iron shop is highly significant. An iron shop is a hub. It's where weapons are forged, repaired, and purchased.
So it's basically the local gossip spot for fighters.
Exactly. It is an ideal listening post to gather intelligence on who is arming themselves and what specific styles of combat are active in a region.
So when his son, Zhu Rui, and his apprentice, Luo Biao, come to him in a panic and explain the disastrous jailbreak, all it takes is one single data point for Zhu Xiang to crack the case wide open.
Just one name.
Just one. The constables tell him the guy they caught was named Disheveled Ghost Yunifang. And Zhu Xiang just instantly connects the dots. It's like watching a supercomputer process a deeply buried search query.
He accesses his mental database of regional criminal networks instantly.
He immediately explains to the constables that Yunfang is not a lone wolf. He is part of a highly structured syndicate in the Sichuan region known as the Five Ghosts and One Dragon.
A very organized hierarchy.
Yeah, I want to list these guys for you because it highlights how intricate this criminal network is. You have the Disheveled Ghost, Yunfang. You have the Cloud Ghost, Zheng Tianfu, the Wind-Cleaving Ghost, Li Zaming,
That's 3.
the Rooster-Crowing Ghost, Guan Daliang, and the Black Wind Ghost, Zhang Rong. Those are the 5 ghosts, essentially, the lieutenants.
Right, the enforcers.
And then at the very top of the pyramid, the leader, the dragon, Hua Yunlong, also known as the universe-stealing mouse.
The brilliance here is Yuanqing's deductive reasoning. He understands the strict hierarchy and the operational logistics of this syndicate.
Because if a lieutenant got caught,
Right, if a low-level enforcer like the Disheveled Ghost was captured, a jailbreak of that massive scale moving 1 to 200 men could only have been orchestrated, funded, and commanded by the leader.
it had to be the boss.
Therefore, the universe-stealing mouse, Hua Yunlong, must be operating locally. Yuanqing knows he doesn't need to mount an impossible manhunt in the mountains to find the dragon.
He just has to wait.
Exactly. He understands the logistics of a bandit army. A force of 200 men needs supplies. And more importantly, after a major siege, they need specialized weapons.
So, armed with this incredible strategic intelligence, Zhu Xiang tells his son and the apprentice, "Don't panic. Go home and wait. I'm going to go to work at my iron shop and just keep my eyes open."
He doesn't chase the prey, he just waits at the watering hole.
And sure enough, we move to the trap. A man walks into Zhu Xiang's iron shop. He introduces himself as Hua, and he wants to buy a very specific, highly illegal item, wind-rolling bright darts.
This is the crux of the detective work, and it's where the concept of weaponry as a fingerprint truly shines.
Because these aren't just regular throwing knives?
No, in this world, a wind-rolling bright dart is not standard ammunition. The text explicitly notes that these darts are specially engineered. They are hollowed out or grooved specifically to hold lethal poison.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and the wind-rolling aspect refers to their aerodynamics. They are designed to be thrown with a spin that stabilizes them in flight, making them deadly accurate over distance.
And bright.
Bright suggests they are polished metal, easily concealed in a sleeve until the moment of the strike. They are a master assassin's tool.
It's exactly like a modern detective working undercover at a custom machine shop, and a guy walks in trying to buy a highly specific, custom-milled firing pin that only fits a very rare, illegal, fully automatic weapon.
You don't buy that part by accident.
Right. And you don't know how to use it unless you were trained by a very specific person.
Exactly. And Zhu Xiong knows the exact lineage of this specific weapon. The transfer of martial knowledge in wuxia is a closed-loop system.
It's very guarded.
Extremely. Masters only teach their specific techniques to sworn disciples. Zhu Xiong knows that originally only a legendary master named Ma Yuanzhang, the Thousand-Li Lone Walker, used these poisoned darts.
So he traces the family tree of the weapon?
Yes. Ma passed the secret blueprint and throwing technique down to his sole disciple, Yang Ming, the awe-inspiring, in 8 directions.
Okay, so from Ma to Yang Ming.
And Yang Ming had a sworn brother in the Yichuan region with whom he intimately shared his martial secrets. That sworn brother is Hua Yunlong.
The universe-stealing mouse.
Exactly.
The leader of the syndicate that just burned down the county jail. The deductive logic is totally airtight. The specialized darts equal the martial lineage. The lineage equals Hua Yunlong. And Hua Yunlong equals the mastermind of the jailbreak.
Zhu Xiong has him dead to rights, and he hasn't even raised his voice.
It is a masterclass in situational control.
It really is. Zhu Xiong realizes immediately that if he signals for an arrest right there in the front of the shop, it will trigger a chaotic, lethal fight.
Because it's a tight space.
Civilians might get hurt, and Hua Yunlong might utilize his lightness skill to vault over the shop counters and vanish into the crowded street. He has to contain the threat first. So he plays the role of the gracious, subservient shopkeeper. He stalls him.
He acts perfectly normal, tells Hua they have the darts in the back, and then casually tells his young apprentice to go pour some tea in the back room.
It's so smooth.
And as the boy walks by, Zhu Xiong whispers in his ear, "Run home. Tell Zhu Rui and Luo Biao that Hua Yunlong is in the shop buying darts. Bring everyone. Surround the place."
The trap is closing.
The apprentice nods, leaves the tea kettle in the back, and sprints out the side door to get the constables. The trap is being set with a kind of quiet, lethal precision that the magistrate's torture chamber completely lacked.
The irony there is profound.
Uh-huh.
The formalized state completely failed to contain a single low-level bandit using its bureaucratic structures.
They just beat him with a stick until the stick broke.
Right. But here, a retired wuxia master is successfully orchestrating the capture of the entire syndicate leader by utilizing the deep network intelligence of the Jianghu and then weaponizing the manpower of the state police to execute the trap.
It is a perfect, terrifying synthesis of the two justice systems.
Really is.
And it brings the narrative full circle, moving from the chaotic, messy street fight of the opening directly into a calculated execution. Let's talk about this takedown, because the physics of it are incredibly satisfying.
The spacing is everything here.
Yeah, Zhu Xiong politely lures Hua Yunlong into the spacious backyard of the iron shop, acting like he's going to show him a special high-quality inventory of darts.
And the backyard is chosen very specifically.
Because it's a flat, open courtyard. There are no low eaves to jump to, no crowds to hide behind. It is a kill box.
And then the hammer falls.
Suddenly, boom! The back door is smashed open. Zhu Rui and Luo Biao burst into the courtyard. But they aren't using precise swords or bamboo whips. They are armed with iron rulers that weigh 24 jin each.
We really need to contextualize the absolute brutality of that weaponry.
Because 24 jin is roughly 32 pounds.
I want you to imagine swinging a 32-pound solid iron bar. These are not weapons designed for elegant parrying or slicing.
You can't fence with that.
No, they require immense physical strength just to wield, and they rely entirely on blunt force trauma. They are designed to smash through a blocking sword, shatter the arm holding it, and completely crush the skull behind it.
It's purely for demolition.
The arrival of 32-pound iron rulers signals a total shift in the narrative stakes. This is no longer a gentleman's duel on the road where someone offers you silver.
This is a state-sanctioned execution squad closing in.
Exactly.
Zhu Rui points his massive iron ruler at Hua and lists off his crimes like he's reading a legal indictment. Armed robbery, murder, orchestrating a jailbreak, killing the gate guards.
The full weight of the law.
Hua Yunlong, this big syndicate boss, the universe-stealing mouse, who commands an army of 200 men, is suddenly terrified. He realizes instantly that he is completely outmatched and trapped.
He doesn't even attempt to draw a weapon to fight them.
He panics, twists his body, and tries to use his famous lightness skill to vault over the high courtyard wall and escape.
But in his panic to escape the blunt force of the constables, he completely forgets about the quiet, retired master standing right behind him.
The guy who literally runs the place.
Right. Zhu Zhong doesn't need to swing a 32-pound iron bar, and he doesn't need to chase him up the wall. He simply flicks his wrist and throws a single dart.
And it hits Hua dead center in the human acupoint. The boss drops instantly. It's over in a second. So what is the human acupoint, and why does a strike there cause a man to just fall out of the air?
So in traditional Chinese medicine and martial arts anatomy, the human acupoint is located in the abdominal region, just below the rib cage.
Near the stomach.
Yeah, it's deeply associated with the diaphragm, the liver, and the flow of breath. In striking martial arts, hitting this specific cluster of nerves and organs disrupts the vagus nerve and causes a massive, instantaneous shock to the respiratory system.
So he just loses his breath completely.
The diaphragm spasms, the lungs can't draw air, and the body's structural integrity collapses. A poisoned dart striking the human point while a martial artist is mid-leap, trying to regulate their breath for a complex maneuver, is absolutely devastating.
It shuts the body down like flipping a breaker switch.
That's exactly how it works.
The thematic conclusion here is incredibly rich. The source text explicitly points out the karmic retribution of this exact moment. Hua Yunlong, whose nickname Universe-Stealing Mouse implies theft, and who is known in the lore for plucking flowers.
Which is a very specific wuxia euphemism.
Right, for preying on vulnerable victims, often women. He finally gets what the text calls a taste of iron.
That's perfect irony.
He is brought down by the very poisoned assassin's tool he came to purchase, and he is struck down by a man whose martial lineage he thought he perfectly understood.
It demonstrates the dark evolution of conflict within the narrative. The state and its agents, the constables, have finally learned that they cannot fight the Jianghu on the Jianghu's terms.
And they certainly cannot rely on the magistrate's flawed, bureaucratic torture system to solve their problem.
No, they have to adapt. They use the Jianghu's own history, its own weaponry, and its own retired masters to enforce the law.